Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hope everyone is doing great. If you are new here, you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, you are also welcome. So in this video, I'm going to be recreating the style you're seeing on the thumbnail. Looking at the style, what we have there, I don't know whether to call it jumpsuits. Yes, but my client doesn't want us to be a trouser. She wants me to recreate her own to be a dress, okay? And also for her front, she wants me to smoke the front using this smoking thread. And the back remains the same. The back is going to have a zipper. It is going to have zipper, yes. So this is not a video you would like to skip because I'm going to be showing you a lot of tips on how to smoke when you have fabric that is not pure cotton. This Ankara fabric I'm working with is not pure cotton. It's called I think it's called a rubber Ankara. Yes. If you smoke this one, you're not going to like it. There are some things you're supposed to do before you smoke or after smoking your fabric. Okay, especially when you're working with fabrics that are not light. This one you can't say is light, it's not light, it's not even cotton. Okay, so I'm going to show you some tips on how to smoke this fabric. Then for the back of this dress, it's going to have lining, but the front is not going to have lining. Did you see? So this is not the video you would like to skip. The front is not going to have lining, as in the upper front is not going to have lining because we are going to smoke it. But the back that has zipper is going to have lining. The lower part of the dress is going to have lining. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is to cut the lower part of the dress. That's the skirt part. Okay. If you look at the picture, you will notice that we have two steps, that is from the waist down. The first one, I'm going to cut a fitted skirt, and the lower one, I'm going to cut a long fabric that I'm going to pleat, okay, to form that gathers, or I might even cut it in flay form. I don't know, but as we progress, I will, you know what to do. Okay, so the measurement we are going to be working with is shoulder. Yes, we need shoulder in as much as we are cutting an off-shoulder dress. Yes, we need our shoulder measurement. The shoulder measurement is 15 inches. I'm looking at my measuring book. Her bust is 41. Her bust point is we don't need bust point. No, we don't need bust point. Her waist is 36. Her hip is 44. Okay, so the length of the gown is 61 inches. Okay, so we're going to stop there. So like I told you, the length of the waist measurement is 36 inches. Now from her waist down to the length of the dress is going to be 46 inches. From her waist down to the length of the dress is going to be 46 inches. So the first step, which is the first skirt, we are going to cut 22 inches. Yes, including the half-inch allowance to join to the pleated lower part and the half inch that we need to join to the upper part of the dress. I hope I'm not confusing you. So let's get started. So waist, like I said, you're going to cut 22 inches. So this is our 22 inches I'm going to mark. You can do 20 or 21 if you wish. So this is 22. I have to spell points. I hope you're seeing what I'm doing. Okay. So to know how much you're going to fold, just use your hip measurement, divide by 4. Our hip is divide by 4, then you add extra 2 inches to that. Okay, that is if you are using 1.5 side seam allowance. If you are using 2, please do 3 inches extra. Okay, when you divide your hip by 4, then you add 3 inches extra. That is how much you're going to fold. Okay, so that you not waste your fabric. So this is it. I need to measure it and see what I have. I don't want to waste her fabric. Yeah, it's okay. So from here, I'm going to take our measurement. That is our waist measurement. Our waist is 36, like I told you. Divide by 4 will give me 9 inches, plus 1.5 seam allowance will give me 10.5. So this is 10.5. Can you see? So from that point, I'm going to go down by 9 inches. Please, if the person you're making for is tall, please do 9.5. Why I'm doing 9 inches is because she's not tall. So by the time I take my half inch to join to the upper part of the dress, what I should have as a hip depth, the hip depth will now be 8.5. So 9 inches is still okay here. Some people use 9 inches for an average person, but sometimes I don't even use it. I use it an 8.5. Sometimes I use 9, depending on how tall the person is, and it still come out well. So her hip, like I told you, is 44 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark 11. Divide by 4, it will give us 11 inches plus 1.5 seam allowance will give me 12.5. So I'll mark 12.5 here. Because it's a short skirt, what I'm going to do is to minus 2 from whatever I have around our waist. We have 12.5. I'm going to minus 2 inches from that, and I should have a 10.5. So this is 10.5. So from her hip, I'll connect to the lower part of the fourth step, the skirt, lower part of the skirt, which is this, then connect to her waist, and I'll cut this out. So I'm done with the front. As you can see, this is the front. I place it on the fabric I'll be using for the back. So if you remember, I didn't mention adding that allowance at the front. No, I don't do that. If you have been following me, you notice that I hardly add that at my at the front part of my skirt. So coming to the back, this is the back. Remember, we are cutting the back side of the skirt. Okay, so I'm using the front to cut the back. Now what we need to do is to leave a zipper allowance. Now this is the space I leave for the zipper allowance. So coming to the waist here at the center back, I'm going to mark 1 inch for the zipper allowance. Okay, at the point of that sorry, from the waist I'll go down by 9 inches for the hip. Okay, at that point I'm going to measure 1.5 seam allowance for my zip. But when I'm fixing the zip, I will only take 1 inch to fix the zip. Why? Because I always like to create space for the butt. The back is not flat, okay? So you need to create space for your butt so that the butt will sit well, okay? So that's what I usually do. So from that point, I'm going to mark 1.5. That is where you have your hip at the back, please remember. So from the waist again, you're going to take your measurement of 18 inches or 17.5, depending on how tall the person is. So I'll be working with 17.5. I'll be working, in fact, I'm working with 17, but because by the time I hold the top part, it will shift to 17. Okay, so I'm using 17.5. So at that point, I'm going to measure my zipper allowance of 1 inch. Okay, so by the time I connect the hip to the knee, that point is called knee height. Okay, I'm always using 18, 17, 17.5 for my knee height. Okay, so that point I marked now is the knee height. Okay, so I'm going to connect from my hip at the center back to the new point of knee height, so I can give the back some sort of a hip butt shape. Yes, so this is it. So the back is not straight like we normally call the back, the center back. Okay, So another thing I'm going to do is to add that allowance at the back. Okay, so from the side, I'm going to add 1 inch that allowance. I always put that at the back of the skirt, not at the front. But if you want to add to your front, please go ahead. I don't usually do that because I feel there's no need. Okay, so I'll go ahead and cut. So we are done with the first layer of the lower part of the dress. Okay. Can you see? It's not straight. You can see it has some curve here. You can see the curve here. It has curve here. Can you see? And 1 inch zipper, sorry, that allowance. So I'm going to mark this point as the zipper allowance so that I will not be confused. Because looking at it, you would think that this side is the side part of the skirt, while this side is, it looks alike. So I have to, label it so that I won't be confused while sewing. Okay, so we're done with this. The next thing we're going to do is to the other lower part of the dress. I'm going to leave it for now. When you're done with the upper and the first layer of the dress, then we'll come back to the lower part. That is the second layer of the lower part of the dress. Please, I hope I'm not confusing anyone. So for the upper part of the dress, remember I said that the front is going to be smoked, okay, and it's off shoulder. It's off shoulder, okay. So because the upper part, the dress is off shoulder, we're going to be minusing some inches from the upper part of the dress. So her front waist, her half length for the front is 19 inches, while her back half length is 16 inches. I hope you understand that, because the front, we have bust at the front. So by the time you take your front half length, you notice that it's longer than the back half length. But some people use the same half length for both the front and the back. I don't do that. I notice that when I don't, in fact, I don't do that. There's no point. I don't do that. What I normally do is by the time I'm done taking the measurement, I'll just add my side bust darts. If you take your bust darts, that is the difference between the front and the back half length. You just take that difference as your dart at the front by the side. You hold your dart, and the two sides, both the front and the back side, will now align and match up. But I won't be doing that because we're going to smoke the front. Okay, so by the time I'm done smoking the front, the side will shrink. I will now place the back on top and stitch. There is no style line at the front because we are smoking it. Okay, so please don't be confused. Okay, so what I'm going to be minusing from the upper front is 5 inches because it's an off shoulder dress. Okay, so I'm minusing 5 inches. Remember I said that the front half length is 19 inches. Okay, so by the time I minus 5 inches from 19 inches, I should have 14 inches. Now I need to hem the top part of the dress, the upper part. I need to join the lower the waist to the waist part of the skirt. That is the lower part of the dress. So I need half inch here and I need half inch. So together what we are going to be cutting out is 15 inches. If you minus 5 inches from your 19 inches, you are cutting an off shoulder, so definitely you will minus some inches while cutting your off shoulder dress, okay, or top. So half length for the front is 19 inches. We are minusing 5 inches from that, and that will give us 14 inches. Now we need to add half inch to hem this top part, half inch to join this upper part to the lower part of the dress. That gives us 15 inches. So what I have here is, I hope you're seeing this. So what I have here is 15 inches. Can you see? So we're going to start marking. Okay, so another, to know how much you're going to fold, use your bust measurement. If it's that is the biggest part of your body, that is the upper part of your body, if that is the biggest part, you use that to divide by 4, then you add extra 6 inches or more. What I normally do, if I divide my bust, which is the biggest part of the upper part of my body, I will add 5 inches for ease because I'm smoking that part, I'm smoking the upper parts. Then I'll add 1 inch seam allowance or 1.5. But when I'm smoking, I usually use 1 inch. Okay, so that is that. So the bust I'm working with is 41 inches. Divide by 4 will give us 10 1/4 plus 6 inches, 5 inches for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. That will give us 16 1/4. Okay, so I'm going to mark that here. 16 1/4. Then for the chest line I'm working with is 8 inches. So I'm going to place my tape. Remember, we are minusing 5 inches from the measurement, and this is where 8 inches fall. So I'll mark the 8 inches here. Now remember, I left ½ inch for this. Instead of marking 8 inches, I was going to mark 8.5. So by the time you fold, it will go back to 8 inches. So this is where my chest line is. So at that point, I'm going to mark the bust measurement. The bust, remember that the bust, we are taking this one as our shoulder, please. So I'm still going to mark the same 16 1/4. Remember how we got it, 16 1/4. So this is it, and you see. So at this point, the top part, which is going to serve our shoulder as our shoulder, I'm going to go in by 4 inches and mark it. This is 4 inches. Can you see? So at that point, I'm going to connect this way to form the armhole curve. Remember that the armhole curve for an off shoulder is not supposed to be deep, so that you'll be able to move your hands. Okay? Can you see? You can as well use curve ruler. So this is my curve ruler. So coming here, I'm going to take the waist measurement, which is 36 inches divided by 4 will give me 9 inches, plus 6 inches, plus 6 inches will give me 15 inches. You know why I'm adding 6 inches? 5 inches for ease because you are smoking, and 1 inch for seam allowance. So that should give us 15 inches. Okay, so this is it. So I'm going to connect this way. So we are done with the front. So at this point, when I'm done cutting out the front, now you're supposed to add a ½ inch around your armhole for you to be able to use it to fix your sleeve. Okay, don't forget that. So I'm adding that, and you see. So now that I'm done cutting out this front, what I'm going to do, I'm going to soak this fabric inside water. I'm just going to wet it, then I will go and spread it outside for the fabric to dry a bit. Okay, it's not going to be wet, it's going to be damp. Okay, I'm going to wet it, then spread it. Why I'm doing this is that by the time I'm done smoking, it will shrink and give me the effect I want, just like when you are working with chiffon. But if you don't do that, I notice that I've used this kind of fabric to make something, a smoked gown for somebody, and the outcome wasn't nice at all. Okay, until I wet it. You can do it now. You can wait until when you are done, then you now wet and spread. But I want to do it now, okay, so that as I'm sewing, I'm seeing the effect it's giving me. So I'm going to wet it, leave it outside to dry a bit. Please, it's not going to be wet, but you will notice that the fabric has been soaked inside water. I hope you understand what I'm trying to explained. Okay, so I'm going to keep this aside. I'm going to go and wet it now, spread it, then come back and continue with the drafting of this dress. Okay, so like I said, we need we are working with our shoulder. Remember, divide by 4. Sorry, divide by 2 will give us 7.5. Our shoulder is 15. Divide by 4 will give us 7.5. Then we need half inch here to join these two pieces together, which is 1 inch plus 5.5 will give us 6.5. Now we need half inch this side to be able to fix our sleeve. That will give us 7 inches. So when I measure, I have more than 7 inches. You see? So had it been I went ahead to cut this out, you will notice that the top part will be gaping. So this is our 7 inches here. So at this point, I'm going to connect this way and take out the excess out. So there's the excess. So we are good to go. Can you see? So what I'm going to do next is just to cut open the center back. This is the center back where we have our zipper allowance. It's on fold, so I'll open it up this way. So to eliminate any form of fold at all, I'm going to mark half or quarter of an inch at the waist line here. This is it. You can do half, you can do quarter. So I'm going to connect it to the top part. To eliminate any fold at all around the center back. That is why I'm doing this. Okay? I don't need to add it back. Can you see? So we're done with the back. So what I'm going to do now is to transfer cut out my lining for this upper part, that is the back part. So I want to label it so that I'll be able to know which one is which. This is zipper allowance, this is zipper allowance, this side is zipper allowance as well. So this is center already. This one from the angle I'll be able to tell which one is which. So this is my smoking thread. I'm going to wet it as well. Okay, so one should be enough for me because it's just the front that I'm going to smoke. So we're going to be drafting the back now. So this is it. Now remember I told you that the half length for the back is 16 inches. So we're going to be minusing 5 inches from that 16 inches, and we should have 11 inches. Now we need half here at the top part to hem the top part. We need half to join to the lower part, giving us 1 inch. So 1 inch plus 11 will give us 12 inches. So I've gone ahead to mark out the 12 inches. That's the line you'll see here. So I've also marked out the 1 inch zipper allowance at the back. Now, the next one we're going to do now is to take the waist measurements. Remember that we're working with waist 36 divided by 2 will give us waist 36 divided by 2 will give us 9 inches. We're going to add 1 inch for that. That will give us 10 inches plus 1 inch for 1 inch for side seam allowance. Now I'm using 1 inch for the upper part. I'm using 1.5 for the lower part. See, I'm not trying to confuse because whenever I'm smoking, I use 1 inch because there is a lot of allowance already. So by the time you wear and it stretches back. So that's why I'm always using 1 inch. Because the front is going to be smoked, that's why I'm using 1 inch for the back as well, so that it can match up. It won't give me stress Okay, so please, this measurement I'm using is for my clients. When you want to measure your, you want to sew or cut your dress, please use your measurements. Your half length might not be the same with this half length I just mentioned, please, so that you don't make mistake, or at the end of the day when you use my measurements, your dress will look funny because it's not your size. So please work with your measurement, take your measurement. If you don't know how to take your measurement for the front and the back half length, what you're going to do is to locate where you have your natural waistline, tie a rope around there. From your shoulder, measure to that rope at your front while wearing a firm bra, please. Then you also take the same measurement at the back from your shoulder down to where you have that rope at the back. Then you will now know your half length. Sometimes if you have a very small bust, you notice that both the half length for the front and the back is the same. But if you have a bigger bust, there's no how it will be the same because of your bust. Okay, so please note that. So like I was saying, I said that the waist I'm working with is 36 divided by 4 will give us 9 inches plus 1 inch, that will give us 10 inches, then 1 inch seam allowance will give us 11. So this is 11 here. I'm going to stop here. Now coming to the top part of this dress, I'm going to use my shoulder measurements. My shoulder measurement is what? Is the measurement I'm working with is 15 inches. Divide by 4 will give me 7.5. Now I'm going to minus 2 inches from that 7.5. Yes, so that the back will be firm. Okay, so when you minus 2 inches from that 7.5, that should give us 5.5. So I'm going to just mark 5.5 here and stop there. Now I'm going to take my chest line, which is 8 inches, but because I'm going to be using half inch to hem the upper part, I'm going to do 8.5. So this is 8.5. Why my tape is 5 inches on that line I've already done. Please watch this carefully so that your dress will come out well if you're making the same style. Okay, so the bust measurement is 41 divided by 4 will give us 10 points. 1 quarter. Okay, I'm going to add 1 inch seam allowance. That will give me 11 1 quarter. So this is 11 1 quarter here. I'm going to join into the weight measurement this way. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are not adding any extra at the back. No, we are not smoking the back, please. So the next thing we're going to do is to get our nipple to nipple measurement, which is 9 inches divided by 2, which is 4.5. At this point, instead of marking 4.5, I'm going to make it 5 inches because I'm adding allowance to join this part to this part. Now what I'm going to do is to add 1 inch extra at the side because of this allowance we need. We're going to open this place, so we need extra 1 inch here. You will still understand why I'm adding this by the time I'm done. So we are adding extra at the side. So at this point, I'm going to mark the nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4.5. Remember, see where my tape is. This is a zipper allowance. Here is zipper allowance of 1 inch, please. So this is where my tape is. So 4.5, that is my nipple to nipple plus half inch to join. I will mark 5 inches here. Okay. Coming to the point, the upper part, I will do the same, 5 inches, because I'm going to open this up. Or yes. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is to join this way. Then I will take my dart of half inch on each side of the dart leg. Half inch here, half inch here. Please, I hope you're not confused at this moment. So at that point, I'm going to go up. I'm going to mark where my my chest line is. My chest line, this is where my chest line is. This is where it is. I hope you're not confused at this moment. This is where my chest line is. So my dart is going to stop there. This is it. And this is it. Can you see? That's my dart. So I'm going to cut this open now. But before I do it, I have to measure this top part, which supposed to be our shoulder. Okay, so what I have here is 5 inches. Now I need half inch to join this part and this part, which I've already included at the side, except top part. I need half inch, so I'm going to add extra 1 inch here. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm going to add extra 1 inch here, so that by the time I cut open, I'll be able to have half inch here, half inch here to join the two together. Okay, so we'll cut open now. You saw where my dart end. Can you see? Can you see? So this is the top part. Now I'm going to stop here because we need to connect our handle. So I'll still use the same curve. And add my armhole allowance of half inch. So this is it. Now continue cutting. Now look at. So I want us to take the measurements again so that we'll see that we are on the right track. Okay, our waist is 9 inches. That is 36 divided by 4 give us 9 inches. So we're going to measure 9 inches plus half inch here, half inch here, making it what, 10 inches. Okay, half inch for seam allowance, half inch for seam, making it 10 inches plus 1 inch for side. That will give us 11 inches. So let's see. Yes, we have 11 inches. Can you see? 11 inches. Now coming to the bust area. Our bust is 10 points what? 10 1/4. 41 divided by 4 will give us 10 1/4. So we have half inch here for joining allowance. That should give us 10 1/4 plus 1 will give us 11 1/4. Then we need plus 1 inch for side will give us 12 1/4. That is it here. Coming to this top part. Okay, so like I said, we need we are working with our shoulder. Remember, divide by 4. Sorry, divide by 2 will give us 7.5. Our shoulder is 15. Divide by 4 will give us 7.5. Then we need half inch here to join these two pieces together, which is 1 inch plus 5.5 will give us 6.5. Now we need half inch this side to be able to fix our sleeve. That will give us 7 inches. So when I measure, I have more than 7 inches. You see? So had it been I went ahead to cut this out, you will notice that the top part will be gaping. So this is our 7 inches here. So at this point, I'm going to connect this way and take out the excess out. So there's the excess. So we are good to go. Can you see? So what I'm going to do next is just to cut open the center back. This is the center back where we have our zipper allowance. It's on fold, so I'll open it up this way. So this is how far the front has dried. You can see it's not too wet, it's not too dry. Can you see? It's just can you see? So I've also wet the smoking thread, and for the back side you can see I've cut out lining and fixed to the main fabric. There's a other piece. Can you see? And so this is the back, and the first layer of the skirt, that's the lower part of the dress. This is it. This is it. And you see. And this is the back. This is the dots at the back. You can see the inside. And you see. So what is remaining here is the one that will be at the lower part that I'm going to put on this. Okay, so this is the lining. And you see. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go and smoke this front part. Okay, I'll start by folding by half of an inch because that's the allowance we left. And when I'm done stitching it, I will now change my thread. That is the one that was going to be under my machine, and start smoking. So I'm done with the front, as you can see. So if you're not working with chiffon, crepe, or the original Ankara that we used to know, if it's all this cheap Ankara you find in the market these days, please, before you start smoking, wet your fabric, wet your smoking thread, allow the fabric to dry a bit. That's to be in between. It's not going to be too wet, it's not going to be too dry. That's to be in between, okay? Before you start smoking. Or you can wait when you're done smoking, then you wet it. When you're done smoking, you will see that the smoking, the effect is not given. Yes. So you have to wet it. Then once you wet it, you will notice that it has shrink. It will give you this effect. That is, if you're not working with chiffon, you're not working with crepe or the original Ankara we used to know, okay? I'm talking out of experience. I've had this experience of making one dress for somebody. The fabric she brought was all this cheap Ankara. At the end of the day, the smoked effect wasn't giving me what it's supposed to give, and honestly, the outcome of that dress was not nice at all. So I'm talking out of experience. Please, you can go ahead smoke if it's not giving you the effect you want, just wet it very well, allow it to dry. That's all. It will shrink. So that's that. So the next thing I want you to notice, it's the armhole for the front. You can see it's looking very small, unlike the back. See the back. You can see this is so because of the way we cut it. Remember, we have excess at the front because of the because we smoked the front. So because of the excess we have at the front, we just came in by 4 inches on fold. Remember that we folded it, then come in by 4 inches, then curve our armhole. That was why our armhole is looking this small. Now, what you're going to do for this, for your arm, there's the armhole for your sleeve to match with this armhole. What you're going to do is to cut your sleeve differently. You're going to open up your sleeve. You're going to cut and fold using this method of removing 5 inches, then come down by your, what's it called, your chest. Remember how we did it while drafting the front. Then you curve. When you're done, you open it up, then use this to reshape the back. Please let me practicalize it so that you understand what I'm trying to say. So this is the piece we are using for the sleeve. Okay. Please, you can use any measurement of your choice. Remember, it's a puff sleeve. So what I have here is 23 inches on fold. What I have here is 23 inches on fold. Can you see? And the length of the sleeve is 23 as well. Okay. So what we're going to do now is come to this side here. We're going to go in by 4 inches. Remember, 4 inches. That's exactly what we did while drafting the front. Okay. Then our chest line, remember, is 8 inches plus plus a half inch. But here we're going to be doing 1 inch. So here we place 5 inches on top of this. Here we place our tape at 5 inches. Then come down by 8 inches. Instead of doing 8 inches, we're going to do 9 inches because we're going to fold this top part by 1 inch. Okay. So this is it here. This is 1 inch seam allowance. We are going to curve this way. Then we'll cut. So by the time you are done cutting, this will match the front armhole. Will match this front armhole. So what we're going to do now is to open it up. Let's do that. Let's cut out this part first. see? So we're going to cut the other sleeve before we open it up and reshape the back, the side that's going to fall as we're going to use as the back. Please, I hope you're not confused. If you're confused, please go back, watch the video again, you understand. So this is it. You see? So I've cut the two sleeves now. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to locate the side that is going to be the back. Okay. So I'm going to open the fabric this way. You can see the way I open it. Right side facing right side. The two of the sleeve, I've opened it up. Right side facing right side. So this side is going to serve as the one that will be at the back. Okay. So what I need to do is to bring my back. That's this back. Open up the back this way. Can you see? Then reshape it. Please, while placing it, remember that you are supposed to have a 1 inch that you're going to hem. So you're going to take note of that hem. What you're going to just fold in the 1 inch so it won't affect it while cutting. So you're going to place your back this way. Can you see what I'm doing? Then you shape. I hope you're seeing it. Am I blocking you? So this is it. You reshape the back, the side that is going to fall as your back. Okay. You see. So by the time you fix this to the back, it will match up without no excess. And this one is going to the front here. So it will as well match up the front. And you see, by the time we fold our 1 inch in, where we'll be inserting the elastic, it will match up. So that's that for the sleeve. Remember, we are going to fix elastic at the top part and at the lower part of the sleeve. So the next thing we're going to do now is to cut the last part, which is the lower part of the dress. It's where we're going to be pleating. Okay, the part that we're going to be pleating. Okay, so we'll cut it now. So for the lower part, I've folded my fabric into two, as you can see. I fold into two. Can you see? It's already into two. Then I'll fold this way in a triangular form. Can you see? Making it 4. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is to measure the skirt that we cut out earlier. We're going to measure this lower part, measure it round. Whatever you get, you will multiply it by 2, then divide by 6.28 for you to get the radius of your circle. So from this end, whatever you get from this end, you measure it to get your radius. When we're multiplying by 2, that is after measuring round this, you multiply by 2 because we're going to gather it. We're going to gather this part. Okay, that's why we're multiplying by 2. When you measure round, whatever you get, you multiply by 2, then divide it by 6.28. Okay, to get the radius of your circle. Remember, we are cutting in a flare form. So from here, from this pointed end, you measure. You'll be measuring the radius. Okay, to get this. So when you're done, you now cut it out. I use it to measure the length of the lower part. So I'm done doing that. The next thing is to cut out. Okay, so the next thing is to cut out. So let me quickly do that. And I'll cut the lower part. So this is it. So please, if you don't have enough fabric for you to cut on a bias form or a flare form, what you're going to just let your fabric be on a straight form. Just multiply whatever you got at the lower part of your skirts by 2, then use it to cut the length of the fabric you'll be using to pleat at the lower part of the dress. Okay, that's all. If you don't have enough fabric to fold the way I folded just now. So when you're done doing that, I have my crinoline. I usually use this whenever I'm making dresses. The effect it gives me, I like it. So I'm going to be using this to turn the hem part of the skirts, okay? The hem part of the dress, rather. So when I'm done doing that, I'm going to fix it to the dress. That is, couple the whole dress, fix my zipper, then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So I forgot to explain how to join the front and the back side, okay? So you can see that uh, when we're done stitching, when we're done smoking, the side has shrink, even the whole body of the front has shrink a bit. So when you get your front, when you try to match your front and the back, you will notice that we still have little left, little excess at the front left. So what you're going to do is this, while stitching, the front has to be down, then you place this the back on top of it so that it will be easier for you to stitch, okay? While stitching, try to find a way to ease in the excess in, then you stitch. If you are going to have issues with this, what you're going to do is just when cutting your front, when you're done cutting the front, whatever that is the difference between the front and the back, at the side, go up by that difference mark. Like me, my difference is here. The difference between the front and the back is 3 inches. So from this point of my waist, I'll go up by 3 inches, then mark. Then I'm going to mark my nipple to nipple at the waist point here, okay, which is 4 inches. That is, you have to do this before you smoke your top, please. Okay, get your nipple to mark it. Then from that point, connect it to that 3 inches you went up by, okay? Remember, we went up by 3 inches here. Okay, then get your nipple to nipple, then connect it, then you cut out that excess. Thereby, you won't have issue of trying to, easing your excess. Okay, so that's another way of doing it. Why we're doing all this is because we smoke the front. There's no style line at the front. That is why we're doing this. So and when you're done doing that, when you're done stitching, for you to hide this seam, we are going to bring this lining. Look at our lining. While stitching, don't join your lining together with it. No. So when you're done stitching, what you're going to do, take your lining back this way, then stitch again. So by the time you turn, you end up hiding your side seam allowance, okay? So I'll quickly do that and I'll come back and show you the finished look. So I'm done sewing the dress, as you can see. So this is the side. You can see how it is. This is the other side. Can you see? So this is the back. Can you see? So this is the inside. Can you see how I finish these sides? Tucking the seam allowance. Can you see? Can you see? And for the front waistline, I used my lining to cover up the seam allowance at the waist. So the only rough side you're seeing here is just around the armhole only. Okay. So this is the lower part of the dress. Can you see? So you can see the crinoline. Can you see?